Hello everyone, my name is Andrea and I will be here to discuss about the case analysis of Enron scandal. To begin with, I will give a short and brief introduction about Enron. Enron began as an energy supply company mainly dealing with natural gas. It was formed year 1985 by Kenneth Lay. Enron Corporation were located in Houston, in United States of America. The introduction of my study is that it is a distant fact now, but Enron was once the seventh largest corporation in America. They revolutionized trading and the energy market. They were far smarter than their competitors, and their business was intricate and too complex for the average person to understand, except in reality, it was all a big scam filled with lies, fraud, and political manipulation. For my thesis statement, Enron was almost universally considered one of the country's most innovative companies, but Enron was the biggest scam in the United States history. The fallout from the scam was monumental, billions of dollars stolen, thousands of lost jobs, dozens of convictions, and the unveiling of a very public display of corporate greed that happened in America. This is the study and analysis of how company took 10 years to grow of $60 billion in value and then in less than a month go bankrupt. Also, this is the study on how the conflicts and issues brought the company to failure. To further understand the Enron scandal, let's tackle first the background of Enron Corporation. What does really happen to Enron Corporation? Enron Corporation began as an energy supply company mainly dealing with natural gas, eventually moved on into trading, making energy deals in power, and then later moving on to broadband and even trading the weather. The firm owned the most extensive natural gas pipeline in the US. In a quest to maximize its profitability, the firm ventured into the international market. In addition to its energy business, Enron also positioned itself as a giant with regard to wastewater and water management, having ventured into the industry in 1998. Enron is the biggest audit failure, the most famous in the world but one of the companies that fell down too fast. Enron fell to bankruptcy on December 2, 2001. The drop of Enron's stock price decreases caused shareholders to lose nearly $11 billion. And Enron revised its financial statement for the previous 5 years and found that there was $586 million in losses. Analysts at these firms often face conflicting loyalties. America's oldest accounting firm collapsed due to the loss of reputation. These are the conflicts and issues of Enron Corporation. First, the mark-to-market accounting method. Second, special purpose entity. And the last one is the corruption and fraud. The mark-to-market accounting method was introduced by Jeffrey Skilling. Skilling adopted an aggressive accounting officers inflated in figures in the firm's financial statements. This method greatly affects the company and it violates accounting rules. Using this method allowed Enron to count projected earnings from long-term energy contracts as current income. Special Purpose Entity. Using the Enron stock as collateral, the SPE, which was headed by the CFO Andy Fasto, borrowed large sums of money. And this money was used to balance Enron's overvalued contracts. Thus, the SPE enabled Enron to convert loans and assets burdened with debts obligations into income. However, the debt and assets purchased by the SPE, which was actually burdened with large amount of debts, were not reported on Enron's financial report. Corruption and fraud. A letter to Kenneth Lay was exposed detailing the staggering amount of corruption and that found in the company. It has been suggested that conflicts of interest and the lack of independent oversight of management by Enron's board contributed to the firm's collapse. The conflict of interest between the two roles played by Arthur Andersen as auditor but also as consultant to Enron. Enron has sought to salvage its business by spinning off various assets. For the thousands of people who held on Enron stock, the market was frozen at $32 mark, and when it reopened, it was $9 share. Let us all meet the guilty parties. Kenneth Lay. Kenneth Lay became the CEO of the Enron Corporation. He was found guilty of 10 counts of securities fraud and was facing 45 years in prison but died of a heart attack. Jeffrey Skilling. Jeffrey Skilling became CEO in Enron Corporation. Skilling was the one who introduced mark-to-market accounting method. Jeffrey Skilling was the mastermind behind Enron, and he was convicted of 19 counts of security and wire fraud. He was sentenced by 24 years and 180 millions in fines. Andy Fastow. Andy Fastow made Enron debts disappear by moving them to show companies so that on paper Enron was profitable. Andy Fastow committed wire fraud. He ratted out and got himself a deal to testify himself against other Enron executives. He was sentenced of 10 years in prison and paid $23 million in fines. Arthur Andersen. Arthur Andersen's role as Enron's auditor and the widespread media attention provide a seemingly powerful setting to explore the impact of auditor reputation on client market prices around an audit failure. Andersen is the one that shredded a ton of paper and was convicted of obstructing justice. Here is the timeline of Enron's collapse. On February 20, 2001, Fortune magazine story calls Enron a highly impenetrable corporation and stock was overpriced. On August 14, 2001, Jeffrey Skilling resigned as CEO, citing personal reasons. And then, Kenneth Lay became the CEO once again. On August 15, 2001, Sharon Watkins sends an anonymous warning to Lay. She says questionable accounting practices would lead the company to implode in a wave of accounting scandals. October 12, 2001, Arthur Andersen legal counsel instructs workers who audit Enron's books to destroy all but the most basic documents. October 16, 2001, Enron reports loss of $618 million. October 22, 2001, Enron admits the Securities and Exchange Commission is looking at possible conflict of interest between Enron and its partnerships. On November 8, 2001, the company admitted accounting errors, inflating income by $586 million since 1997. It effectively admitted that it had inflated its profits by concealing debts in a complicated partnership arrangements. And on December 2, 2001, Enron filed for bankruptcy, the biggest in U.S. history. December 3, 2001, Enron lays off 4,000 employees. Many have seen their pension plans wiped out because they were full of Enron shares. And on January 9, 2002, U.S. Justice Department launches criminal investigation. Here are the proposed solutions and recommendations for the company to consider. First, comprehensive understanding of assets, tools, and resources that would help managers and employees to find new solutions for new problems encountered. In this way,
we can develop strategies for the problems to solve directly. Second, proper focus on following the core values, mission and vision that is most useful principles. Following the core values, mission and vision and setting goals in the company will lead to innovative and effective business. Third, implement systems and business strategies that measure the effectiveness and initiatives of employees and to ensure accurate description of the company's value. Implementing different strategies that would help the company and the business to grow. Fourth, implementing rules and regulations or policies to avoid ethical issues and implementing disciplinary actions for every misconduct. This is one of the most important things that the company should have because it will serve as disciplinary action for the workers and to develop their well-mannered behavior. Next, proper and clear flow of work should be implemented to avoid misconceptions and other conflicts that may occur. There should be a process for every work for it to be easy and to avoid conflicts in working. Lastly, the company must execute a firm board of directors to effectively monitor the operations in the company and to achieve a good image of the company through proper management of the company.